This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. And for those of you who have been watching this channel or paying attention to the markets at all, you will know that the precious metal sector has been making some huge moves. In fact, gold has reached $1,500 for the first time in over 6 years. And this is all happening on the brink of what I see as an eventual declining dollar, which I think is going to eventually make gold completely go through the roof. So joining us on the line right now, we have a couple of experts in this space. We're going to be talking to Dick Walters. He's the Executive Vice President of Marifil Mines. And we also have on the line Robert Abenante, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, President and CEO of Marifil Mines. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. There's a lot I want to cover in regards to what's been happening in this space. So Rob, maybe we can start with you. There's been so much happening in the last few months, even the last few weeks. Gold has gained 26% since its September lows in 2018. And this is all happening at the same time that the US dollar really appears to be strong compared to other fiat currencies, that is. So what do you think is going to happen when, as I see, the inevitable dollar starts to fall? Where do you see this going? How's it going? What's going to happen with gold if we do see the inevitable fall of the dollar?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us on the show here, Dan. Dick and I, pleasure to be here and talk about this program with you. Of course, it's all speculation, but as you said, gold is rising right now, and yet the dollar is staying strong. So what exactly is going to happen if the dollar starts to devalue? And that is the real question. I mean, if gold is usually a hedge against fiat currencies, and truth be told, this is all speculation and this is all subjective, but it's a general assumption that the US dollar is kind of a pillar there. So generally gold is a hedge against the US dollar, yet the US dollar is strong and gold is rising. So what exactly is going on here? Well, the global tensions in the world right now, you have a little bit of a square off between the US and China, and China is trying to devalue the yuan, and the US government is also trying to devalue the dollar. And at the same time, you have a little bit of another square off going on in Europe between Brexit and the euro. Well, of course, this is creating global tension and it's creating uncertainty in the markets, and that is precisely what tends to get people to flock to gold, is when people feel that there is an instability in fiat currencies. And some people, you might say, treat gold as an alternative currency, a safe haven currency, if you will. When fiat currencies are looking to be risky, they flock to gold. Well, right now, as you said, the US dollar is staying fairly strong because versus the euro, with what's going on in the Brexit and with Britain, and versus other countries, the US dollar is still staying strong, yet already people are flocking to gold. So like you said, what exactly is going to happen if the US dollar starts showing signs of weakness? I think you're only going to see that trend compound. You're going to see more people flock to gold, and more people see it as a safe haven and more of a hedge against the fiat currencies of the world.
Well, what I've recognized is some of these guys who see 2 steps ahead, are really hedging themselves big time right now. I have a small list here, and this is interesting. We have Ray Dalio. He's a billionaire. He's buying up tons of gold right now. Stanley Druckenmiller, billionaire, buying up a whole bunch of gold. Jeff Gundlach, he's a billionaire buying gold. Sam Zell, probably the #1 real estate investor ever, billionaire, buying up tons of gold. Paul Tudor Jones, probably the greatest commodities investor, is a billionaire. He's buying up a ton of gold. So a lot of people are eating it up, but the retail crowd is really hating on gold right now. So do you see this as a sign of a classic bull market in the making here?
Look, unfortunately, whether it's good or bad, history repeats itself. Trends repeat themselves. Cycles repeat themselves. And the few individuals that you name there, yes, they're all billionaires, and that's wonderful, but they're also perhaps some of the most respected investors in the world. And there's a reason why they're all billionaires, and there's a reason why they're so well respected, is because they don't bet on the short term. They bet on long-term trends. They bet on fundamentals. They bet on long-term economics. And look, I'm not here to say anything against the retail investor. The retail investor is what makes the markets. There is a reason why we are in the middle of the most heated bull market, basically unprecedented here. We are at all-time highs, and that's driven by the retail investor. But the retail investor, again, this is in my humble opinion, tends to be more emotional, tends to be more speculative, and they're going to play on trends. And right now, the stock market is hot, and that is the trend. Why would you not stay in the stock market if it's so hot? Whereas some of the legends that you just mentioned, it's surprising that you said Ray Dalio. He's perhaps what I would say is my most respected investor. He's I guess, as most people know, he runs the largest hedge fund in the world, and there's a reason for that. He's not an investor who bets on tomorrow. He's not an investor who bets on next year. He's an investor who bets on the next 30 years. So when somebody like Ray Dalio says it's time to start moving your money into gold, a lot of people listen to that. Now, I'd like to draw a little bit of attention on why did Ray Dalio say that? Like, there's obviously a reason behind this. And why is it different than the retail investor who is hating on gold and loving stocks? Well, stocks are hot right now, but that means that they're very well valued. That means that some may even speculate and say be overvalued, and that's offset against tax cuts and interest rate cuts and whatnot. But if you look at the trends here, really what we've been looking at over the last couple of years is we've had a series of years where we've had rising interest rates. We've had a series of years where valuations are getting very rich, and it takes people like Sam and Ray and Stanley to say, listen, everyone, yes, we've had a very good run here. So now let's take a look at risk versus reward. You have a situation where these stocks are very well valued, like extremely, maybe you might dare say overvalued, whereas gold has almost been plateaued for the last 6 years. Mm-hmm. So for relative risk versus reward, perhaps gold is not only a really good hedge, perhaps against your equity portfolio on stocks, but perhaps it could be the commodity or the investment that outperforms all the other assets over the long term. Because if stocks are overvalued, if fiat currencies are at risk, gold will appreciate in those circumstances. And now you have some of the top names in the industry starting to allocate some of their money towards gold. Mm-hmm. And I can honestly say that, in my humble opinion, of course, it's just speculation, but I see that as a very bullish sign, and I hope it's the beginning of things to come here.
Well, there's so many other telltale signs that we're seeing that would tell one that it's time to prepare. I mean, Washington is issuing a ton of new debt. I think it's in the hundreds of billions in September alone. And believe it or not, Trump is actually making a compelling argument that the banana republics like Bulgaria, for instance, who aren't paying the interest on their bonds. So why on earth should America, the most powerful economic engine in the world, pay its leaders? Could you see this leading to another rate cut?
Potentially. So we did see in the last Fed meeting that they did cut the rates. Powell was, of course, very careful in his wording. He was very careful to say, listen, we're not wanting to send a trend here. We don't want to make it seem like we're fueling the market. We're trying to be a hedge, if you will, against future potential economic issues. But nevertheless, a move is a move. You don't cut rates when the market is overstimulated. You cut rates to stimulate. So whether it's the banana republics, whether it's potential tensions with China, potential tensions with the U.S. is even seems to be wanting to pick a fight with everyone, even us here up in Canada. Whether it's Mexico and the border walls and everything else, you really don't know. We're living in a time right now where political instability is certainly an agenda item almost on a daily basis. And you do have an overinflated stock market, and you have had a period of increasing interest rates for a long time, which has led companies not to reinvest in expansion, but rather pay down debts and whatnot. So in that world, if you're smart, like those legendary investors that you'd mentioned just earlier, you're going to think to yourself, you're going to say, listen, I think this is a smart play now to start not only hedging into gold, but investing into gold, because I think it's going to have the most upside over the course of the long term, which encompasses all those various factors that you had mentioned.
Yeah, I would agree. You know, and people obviously need to do their due diligence if they want to get involved. But I mean, now is an unbelievably exciting time to get involved. Now, Dick, you yourself are a geologist. You're not necessarily an economist, so you know a thing or two about how to strike up the yellow stuff, gold. What sort of discoveries have you made? I've heard of some in Alaska and Argentina. What can you tell us about some of those?
I've been involved basically as a team leader in making 8 discoveries of various mineral deposits, uranium and tungsten in Montana, gold in Alaska, copper in Alaska, gold in Argentina, silver in Argentina. We found the richest silver mine, the richest silver deposit, which became the richest silver mine in the world, and it's still being mined in southern Argentina. It was quite an exciting affair, and it took a few years to develop. Turned out very well. What I see here, I take several professional magazines or technical magazines, and constantly reading what's going on in the mining industry, and in particular the gold producing companies. Those gold producing companies, the pure gold producing companies, are having a very difficult time right now, even with the high price of gold. What's happened is over the last 4 years, year upon year, gold production, gold output has fallen by 5% per year. The reason that has happened is because during that period, these companies have been paying down debt. They've been nixing their debt, and their resources have not been expanded. I'm talking about the reserves of gold that they have are getting smaller in terms of both grade and ounces. So they're mining more rock and getting less gold for the last 4 years in a row. This means, and I think these investors, these billionaire investors you're talking about over here, have kind of picked up on this. This means there is a looming gold shortage output, and it's going to come very fast. It takes a long time to develop resources or reserves for mining. Several years, 5 years anyway. Mm-hmm. Now they're 4 or 5 years behind on this. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. I think it's going to put a heck of a lot of upward pressure on the price of gold.
Well, yep, sorry, go ahead.
No, what was really interesting to me is, there's almost a panic going on now that the price has gone up, and they're being caught short with resources or reserves that they can mine. I'm talking about the pure gold companies. Mm-hmm. Newmont is the biggest gold producer in the world, 5.5 million ounces a year. So instead of trying to expand a resource base immediately, what they've done is gone out and bought it. They've merged or taken over other companies. And just recently, they've taken over Goldcorp, another pure gold company, for their resource base. So instead of investing in exploration and in expanding their resources around their mines, they went out and bought a company with other mines and absorbed those resource figures that will look really good on their books. So they're trying to keep their shareholders happy. So that was more or less instant gratification. Another thing that happened is Newmont went after Barrick, the second largest gold producer, 4.5 million ounces a year. And Barrick rebuffed them, but they ended up doing a deal on all of their properties in Nevada. Both companies have lots of mines, gold mines in Nevada. And what they did is unified that into, they took a joint venture, unified it, made it into a new company in which they both own, majority of shares. So that was another way they're trying to cut costs and expand resources, cut production costs. So it's a very active industry right now, and it's exciting to be a part of it.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, on that note, maybe you could tell us a little bit about Marifil Mines, specifically what kind of uniqueness of its gold project are you seeing with Marifil? Why is it exciting right now?
Okay, Dan, Mirafil is focused principally in Argentina, actually exclusively in Argentina. The company was founded on properties that were acquired there years ago, and it's been building on those properties. It's also been subjected to the politics, the up and down politics of Argentina. So it's been a little bit of a rough road. Right now, it's looking real good with the current administration there, and President Macri, very pro-development. The country has very good, very favorable mining laws. They're encouraging investment. They have a mining investment law which guarantees 30-year tax stability, for example, and other things which they're trying to suck investment into the country. So our properties in Argentina, we have a multitude of properties in several different provinces, but the flagship property right now is called San Roque, and it is actually in southeast Argentina on the Atlantic coast. And it's quite an exciting property. It's actually a polymetallic property. Gold is the main economic commodity there, main element of interest, but it has a lot of silver, and it has, very interestingly, a lot of indium. Indium, you may or may not know, is used in the electronics industry. These screens we're looking at right now have indium in them. It's a photosensitive element, so it plays all of the electronics. So yeah, it's a property that has a resource on it. We've just developed a resource of 32 or 33 million tons, containing more than 500,000 ounces of gold, 12 to 14 million ounces of both indium and silver, along with some other metals. So it's expandable. We're looking forward to expanding the resource by drilling, and also we have areas that have not been drilled that are showing good gold numbers in the assays from the surface. So it's quite an exciting property. We share that property with a company called Nova Gold Resources through a joint venture.
Right.
And I'm not sure if you're aware of Nova Gold. They have a large deposit in Alaska, actually, that they're working on with Barrick.
Right. Awesome. That's that's pretty exciting to say the least. Rob, you're the CEO of this. What has got you excited about this right now? What would you say is the most interesting thing about it that has you excited and involved?
To be very honest with you, this is taking on a company like Marifil has been something that I've really based my career on. I look exclusively for undervalued assets. I usually come in a leadership position, chairman, CEO, like I am in Marifil, and I look to reinvigorate the company from its undervalued position, and let it rise up and realize the value that it should have. Someone like Dick is, I think, instrumental to the reason why I joined Mirafil. I came on in 2017, and that involved an 8-hour session with Dick, explaining the various assets to me. And that is what sold me on Marifil. Of course, I've been in the mining industry for quite some time. I've done gold to diamonds to silver, Africa, Turkey, across the Mediterranean and South America. But what I liked about Marifil was the fact that there were several assets in the portfolio that were company makers on their own. And I'll be very honest, and it's the reason why I say that San Roque is our flagship asset, because it is the asset that I believe has the most potential in the portfolio. And that is not to take away anything from our other assets in the portfolio. We have everything from the largest nickel asset in Argentina to cobalt to precious metals, PGMs. We have lithium in the lithium triangles. So we have very sexy assets. We have oil and gas even, believe it or not. So we have a very robust portfolio in Mirafil. And I believe that gives us a very strong foundation. But on top of that foundation, we have our flagship asset with it, which is San Roque. And San Roque, which, as per our latest news releases, we just put out, $1.5 million gold equivalent on our first 43101. As Dick said, that's 33 million tons, and we're just scratching the surface. The potential of this one asset could turn this company into a multi-billion-dollar company. And of course, I say that with potential, of course, and forward-looking statements, of course. But that is what's got me committed to this company. When we came on, it was kind of a sleeper company. There was not a lot of activity in the stock. There was not a lot of activity in the shares. So since I've come on, we've raised quite a bit of capital. We've done a drilling campaign, and now we've put out this 43101. And we are really poised to be on track here to really build what could be a substantial company just with the San Roque asset alone, yet we still have the diversification of the rest of the portfolio. So what I believe makes us a unique story is, I think relative to other junior companies, San Roque has tremendous potential that with this 43101 has now, the proof is in the pudding, like it will be in the results. And we still have this huge portfolio, and yet the company is still not very well known. We don't have a tremendous amount of liquidity yet, and we still don't have a tremendous following, and we have a very, very undervalued market cap. So what I believe is unique in this opportunity is, if you believe what I believe and what Dick believes and what our team believes and what almost unanimously the geologists in Argentina believe, we are sitting on a potential multi-billion-dollar mine here, and we have an incredibly low-valued market cap. This combined, equals a tremendous opportunity for the investor, and I found it to be a tremendous opportunity for myself. I feel very lucky to be a part of this team, very lucky to be working with individuals such as Dick, very lucky to be with individuals such as our very experienced and very well-networked team in Argentina, well-connected team in Argentina. So I feel very comfortable that we can take this company to those next levels and bring this company to where it needs to be to realize the value of our assets.
Well, that's awesome. I certainly hope that I can help in the sense of getting the name out there and letting people know, in fact, that this is something you guys want to pay close attention to. Folks, I strongly recommend you check it out. Marifilmines.com is the website. Links will be located in the description below. Once again, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me here today.
Thank you for having us.
We all want truth. The truth will set you free.